Flacco throws for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half. Here's C.J. Mosley on his old teammate. Everybody always joked, even in Baltimore. Was he elite? I didn't know people were joking in Baltimore. That kind of hurts. He's showing it. I told him after the game, it's crazy to hear the Browns fans screaming, Flacco, Flacco. That was pretty wild to me. So, Brew, are the Browns a dangerous team?
Is who dangerous?
Are the Browns a dangerous team?
It's not the Browns.
Oh, there we go.
What are we
It's
doing?
my Browns.
Wait.
It's Brew's Browns.
Since when?
You have you got 2 teams?
Now let me hold on.
No.
Lest you be confused, because clearly you are. I am sticking with my AFC pick of the Ravens.
Oh,
no
good.
question about it.
Okay.
But according to the geographic domain clause in the bylaws,
That's true.
I've got dibs on the Browns.
All right, fine.
true.
You got the
You
Chiefs
can
because
have
you're from Kansas City. You got the Patriots, you're from New England.
Yeah.
I've got the Browns because I'm from the land. All
Yes.
right, so
also from Iowa.
Yeah, I mean,
And
look,
Cincinnati.
It's not
And
my fault.
Louisiana.
I moved around a lot.
And
That's just
upstate New
that's
York.
the luck of the draw. All right, so right now the Browns, if and when there's a time to gloat, I will have that right. I just want to let y'all know.
Okay.
All right, so my Browns. Now, how dangerous are they? They're not a Super Bowl threat. I don't think they get to the Super Bowl. I like Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City, and Buffalo all better than them in the AFC. I do like all them better. But the Browns, look, they 7-4 against teams with winning records. They've beaten the 2 teams that have been the best in the league this year, right? San Francisco and Baltimore. And we know how good that defense is. Number 1 total defense in the league. All right. And Joe Flacco, this is in tribute to Nick Wright, a little bit of kismet on the Browns' part. Here's a blind reveal for you guys.
Yes.
A little bit of kismet.
Let's go.
A blind reveal. Check that out. Flacco, 340 yards a game since he's been back, 11 touchdown passes, or in the last 4 games that they've won. Care to guess who that other
Versus a notable
that other guy is?
Baker Mayfield.
No, nobody. We really got him, Dust.
Who is it? Let's see.
Joe Flacco en route to his
the
Super Bowl
playoff.
championship.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's great.
So just a little kismet.
No, that's
I know
something.
you'll like that.
So
you know they're dangerous. I think they could ruin somebody's season.
So here's the thing. I put them in the exact category I put the Bills in, even though they're very different teams. I think they can beat anybody. I don't think they can string together the requisite 3 straight postseason wins they would need to make the Super Bowl. Now, technically, maybe they only need 2 because they are alive for the 1 seed. It's unlikely, but here, listen, if they don't end up winning the division, which in order to win the division, it's very simple. They need to win next week in Cincinnati, and they need Baltimore to lose both of their remaining games. That happens, they can win the division, and they could be the 1 seed if Miami then also loses the final week of the year. But if they don't win the division, they're the 5 seed. They might be road favorites over any of those AFC South teams. It doesn't look like Trevor's going to play this because that's who they'd be playing. The 4 seed's going to be the AFC South winner. And so Trevor doesn't look like he's going to play. I think they might be road favorites, or it might be a 1-point line. Houston, we would see. Indy, I think they would be road favorites against. And Cleveland, they have this going for them and against them to a degree. They have, I think, Joe Flacco in total ultimate don't give a bleep mode. Like, I'm going to grip it, I'm going to rip it, I might throw a bunch of picks.
He's thrown a lot of picks, too.
He's thrown picks, and he's thrown a lot of could-have-been picks.
Yeah.
But he's always had a big arm. He's always had a big arm, and he's always been able to make, like, even in his prime, his best play might have been the ability to draw pass interference on deep balls. And the Browns this year, where they deserve credit, Browns fans were mad at me because our preseason picks, my AFC North thing, was going viral over the course of the week. I had the Browns finishing last. And listen, your defense I thought it was going to be good, but is, I think, the best in the NFL. I thought your quarterback and coach situation would kill you. Your coach instead might win Coach of the Year. And the quarterback situation could have killed you, but all of a sudden, Flacco's doing his thing. The Browns this year, Brew, and I know you care a lot about quality wins. They beat San Francisco.
True.
They beat Baltimore. They beat current playoff teams, Indy and Jacksonville. They beat current above 500 teams, Houston, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. That is 7 wins against teams that are either in or could be in the playoffs. 7 wins against teams above 500. And so I think that they are a legitimate dangerous team. The reason I said Buffalo is I think they could beat or lose to anyone because of the volatility of how they're going to play. I think the defense will be a standard, but I think Flacco could throw for 300 and Flacco could lose you your first playoff game.
Yeah. I'm going to steal a line from Broussard right now. I got Flacco's on pumpkin alert.
Oh, I disagree.
You don't think he's thrown for 300 yards in the last 4 games? You think this is going to keep going, or he's going to turn into a pumpkin? Here's his numbers.
That's fair, Wild.
During the 4-game win streak, he's first in yards per game. He's first in touchdowns per game. He's first in teams points per game. He also has 7 interceptions during this winning streak. And the teams that he has beaten, the Jets, who have a good defense. We've been saying that even though they've been getting lit up. A C.J. Stroudless Texans team that will allow you to put points on the board. The Bears, and then Jacksonville. I want to be part of the Flacco party. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say, although it's blatantly obvious, that when your quarterback is literally falling asleep during the game, it might not be just meme-worthy. He might be in pumpkin alert.
Well, alert. I think you
pumpkin
have
alert.
to alert. Has to be on pumpkin alert.
Here's the only reason that I push back. I don't think they need that level of production to win playoff games. I think they have an argument, as strong of an argument as anyone, as Baltimore's, Kansas City, San Francisco, that they have the best defense in football. I think they do have the best defensive player in football. So I would agree with you guys.
And they have a strong run game.
Say it again.
They have a strong.
They have a strong run, and so they don't. It's not like the Bengals with Browning, where the defense was bottom 5 and they needed him to be great in order to win. Right. I don't think they necessarily need that.
He's going to be a different guy.
They were 5-1 with Deshaun Watson, who wasn't playing great, but they were 5-1. So he's probably going to come back to earth. The question is, can they overcome? Again, they can ruin somebody's season.
Wilds, I thought, can we spend 60 seconds on the Jets real quick?
Sure.
Can we just put up the Saleh coaching graphics, please, because they're going to bring him back, and it's unprecedented.
It's Thursday night.
That they're going to bring him back. So first of all, he ends every year in shambles, but this is now officially, and we can show the next one, his 3rd consecutive double-digit loss season. In the last quarter century, that gets you fired every time unless you're Gus Bradley, and he was fired midway through the next year. The fact that they are, and some of those guys, the reasons they got fired despite the fact that they had gone to a conference championship game with that coach, that they had had a 10-win season with that coach. The idea that Robert Saleh's job is safe because Aaron Rodgers likes him, it's beyond belief to me. Beyond belief.
Look, I hear you in that Saleh obviously has struggled. I think he's done great with the defense, but he's had a tough situation.
37-20.
But if Aaron Rodgers might be back just one more year, I know he's talking about more, but let's say 1 year, to bring in a whole new situation for him that he's not used to offensively and stuff, I think this is the best. They love him. He likes them. Maybe it's because he can walk all over them, but I just think this is probably the best way for him to go.
The whole AFC East loves him. Here's his career against the Chiefs. One game he had 266 yards. That's pretty good.
It was first game. And by the way, I know we don't have Jalen Ramsey. You do have Trent McDuffie. Since they drafted McDuffie, he has 0 touchdowns, 0 100-yard games. They do.
He had 97 yards.
I'm sorry. Are you a facts guy or a feelings guy? I just said what it was. He started his career with 266 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Okay, so you guys are doing better.
Since then, he has 1 touchdown and less than that combined over the 3 games. He did say something nice about Snead in his comments. Now, Snead is questionable with the game with a calf injury. Snead might be a first-team All-Pro corner this year. L'Jarius Snead's numbers have been unbelievable, and he also in this thing said he doesn't know who Brian Cook is, which is odd because Brian Cook made the play that won them the AFC Championship game, tipping the Joe Burrow pass with 2 minutes left in the 4th quarter that led to the interception, the game-winning field goal. Here's where it comes out for the Chiefs. I do think, Brew, because as you have said, it is an odd year, not just in the MVP race, but in that I don't want to say historic, but the expected juggernauts are not juggernauts. Cincinnati is banged up. The Chiefs have not looked right for 2 months. The Bills might make the playoffs, might not, but they looked bad on Saturday. The NFC, the best team, does have a quarterback question. I won't call it a problem, but at the very least, I think you would agree question. That I think the Chiefs need one great game offensively for all of a sudden them to once again be the team in the AFC nobody wants to play. Because if the offense clicks for one game and then they rest everyone in Week 18 the way I think they would, because they would be locked into the 3 seed. We know how good the defense has been, and I would expect the Chiefs to win their first home playoff game at Arrowhead. And then all of a sudden, you would be saying, man, the Chiefs looked, more than shaky for a while, but did they find their footing with the only quarterback that's going to make the AFC playoffs, if Josh Allen misses it, that has any reason to believe they play well in the playoffs, I guess, other than Joe Flacco, who it's been 8 years for. So I think one great offensive game can reframe the conversation around Kansas City considerably.
I think certainly it'll soften some of the takes that they got no chance, that they're absolutely done. But I don't think those that have written them off, I still think will not be fully convinced, because this is a Cincinnati team that, obviously doesn't have its star quarterback. Jake Browning did turn back into a pumpkin last week, so we assume he's going to be the real Jake Browning now. And they just got smashed by Pittsburgh. Yep. So if they beat them as bad as Pittsburgh did, then a lot of people might say, well, look at what the Steelers did to them. Now, where I do agree with you, Nick, I think it will help them.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, they're champions. We know they're confident, but they're human. And they have been 3-5, as I've said many times over the second half of the season, even in their own minds.
And some bad vibes.
There has to be a little bit of doubt, and there's some bad vibes. So I think if they get a great win, I don't know if they'll sit guys or not. I'm kind of torn on whether or not they should do that if they win. But if they get a great win and Rashee Rice, Justin Watson play well, like Mahomes has a typical Mahomes game, and then those two are like his key receivers. That would,
because Tony's not going to play. People should know Pacheco might play.
Pacheco's a might.
Pacheco's a might. He's back at practice, but he has not fully cleared the concussion protocol yet. But Tony is definitely out, and left tackle Donovan Smith is definitely out, and we'll see on L'Jarius Sneed.
Here's the Bengals defense this season, and Brew mentioned it. Mason Rudolph cooked him up for 290, and George Pickens at 195. So Mahomes should be able to cook this defense up, not to be Mr. Pessimistic in this show. But if he doesn't, then there's going to be more concerns. And I know I am a part-time body language expert, but again, to build off your point, Brew, if he's got his hands on his helmet, or if he has to chew out people on the bench, or if Travis Kelce throws any part of his uniform, it's just more evidence that this Chiefs offense is not running the way it should. Or, I'll even add pre-snap penalties. Yelling at people at the line. Just play a clean, normal game, but it's not.
The pre-snap penalties, the plays seeming to come in late, guys not being lined up in the right place, those to me are telltale signs. But I think you guys all know what makes me feel better, what will make me feel better. And it's not about drops. It's about, does Patrick Mahomes play an A-level game? Because I think that is what they have to have through the postseason. Can I just ask you a question, Kevin Wilds? Do you want fun, cool stuff or not?
No way.
Because last week you demanded it.
No, I do.
You said what was wrong about the Chiefs was that they weren't doing it. Mm-hmm. This week you said what's wrong about the Chiefs was that they were doing it. So I assume we are going to be back to you wanting it, and then if they do it, you're going to be mad about it.
I know. It's nuance.
It's not nuance.
It's nuance.
It's nonsense.
Here's
Those
what
words
I want.
kind of sound
I want
like.
Patrick Mahomes to take the snap, and then anything else can happen. You want to do laterals with Travis Kelce, you want to run a double reverse, that's fine. But when you start to have, let's line Patrick Mahomes up in a 3-point stance,
They're not cute this year.
Not a huge.
They're not cute.
I know.
No,
That's
not
fine,
cute.
but
No,
that
they
was
shouldn't
Wild's
be cute.
big.
Silly. Try to be cute.
Difference between cute and silly.
I know, Brew, but that was Wild's big criticism was that they weren't. And then when they tried it, he got mad again. So I'm just curious.
It got picked up for a touchdown.
Well, I understand that you're still upset about Paul Rudd, Eric Stone Street, Tech 9, and the mayor all excommunicating
They fumbled the ball.
But just have some professionalism.
They gave up a pick, whatever it was called, pick, scoop and score, because Pacheco screwed up the handoff to Mahomes. Only the 49ers have been better than the Lions, who are 19-6.
Now you care about records since November of last year. When I tried to do that for a healthy Prince, you mocked me.
The Cowboys
you mocked
lost.
me, just mercilessly.
No, you go back and historically, when this team started.
No, I've said since November 1st of last year for the Prince. Go ahead.
Who you got, bro?
Dusty, who I got?
Oh, no.
Dusty?
He's going to be the Cowboys.
Dusty Mike?
Dusty doesn't know who I got.
Here we go. Oh,
my gosh. This again.
Cowboys muscle up. Dallas shows it won't be pushed around.
This is for the F block.
No, but I'm letting you know. This is no bonus headline. Bonus headline, because I'm sure Cowboys Nation is surprised that I am picking them Cowboys.
Yeah.
But I am. Look, I told you, I have not wavered off of this.
Ratings.
I love that on the screen. Yeah. I have not wavered off of this. I said in the preseason, Detroit is good. All right?
Oh,
They're a very good team.
Sorry.
But Dallas, not first, but Dallas, San Francisco, and Philly are on a level above them, all right? And I have seen nothing to change my mind. Detroit is a building team. They're going to make the playoffs, and this is a great step to maybe we'll see if it becomes something special. But they're not ready. And the Cowboys are about to show them. I think they're going to beat them handily. Oof. All right, and I know everybody's talking about, but Detroit runs the ball so well. That's a weakness for the Cowboys and all of that. I do think the Cowboys muscle up. Look, Detroit doesn't get to the passer. I think Dak is going to have a big day.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think the Cowboys are going to roll.
So one of the things Brew has said about the Lions that I disagree with is that they can't handle the weight of expectations. I don't want to misquote you, but something along those lines. Yep. I don't think that's their problem. I think their problem is defense no good. And even last week, when Nick Mullins won a show favorite quarterback for old arguments, Nick Mullins, even with him throwing 4 interceptions, he still threw for 400 yards. The Bears in the last 6 weeks have scored 26 and 28 on him. New Orleans scored 28. Green Bay scored 29. Yep. The Chargers scored 36 or 38. I don't know, somewhere in the mid-30s. Yep. I just don't think the Lions defense good enough. I think Aiden Hutchinson's excellent. I think Brian Branch is emerging to be excellent and has his moments. I don't think they have the personnel defensively. And I think that what we know is if you can get to Jared Goff, he turns into a totally different player. Yep. Jared Goff, when he's under pressure or not like not metaphoric pressure, but actual pass rushing, turns into a different guy. So I agree with Brew. I think this is a big Cowboys win, and I think Dak has a good enough game in another standalone spot.
Oh gosh, don't say it.
Hold on. That I think next week, depending on what happens in Ravens-Dolphins, I think there is at least the conversation of, wait a minute, did we disqualify Dak from the MVP race too early? I think he will be back.
It'd be a win over a good team.
It'd be a win over a good team, a standalone window, and his numbers all of a sudden, with Purdy's coming, the 4-interception game, his best touchdown-interception ratio, depending on what Tua and Lamar do. I'm not saying I think Dak's going to win it, but I think he will be back in the conversation, particularly if Philly slips up and Dallas ends the weekend as the 2 seed, which you have talked about being a key to historical MVPs being the 1 or the 2 seed. But I think Dallas wins big. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.